and welcome to the If They Can Do It podcast, the podcast that interviews absolutely ordinary people who do extraordinary things and wants you walking away thinking, hey, if they could do it, so can I. And we are doing another episode that's just me kind of sharing thoughts. It's coming to the end of the year, and so I've kind of stepped away a little bit from the interviews, but I have some amazing people who we're going to be interviewing at the beginning of the year. But wow, like you know how some things just happen and then you think, wow, there's a reason for that, right? People's schedules got busy at this time of the year, but I think some really important topics have come up, particularly in the past week, that I think are worth discussing and I think are worth sharing. Just some thoughts about some lessons that I've learned, again, from one of just the person who's impacted me so much in my life, from my grandfather. We get to talk about another lesson from him today. But really, this episode is happening because of the news last week with tWitch. He's a dancer and I believe DJ who committed suicide this past week or so. And if you watch television, if you watch Ellen, if you watch any of the dancing shows, he's been on there too as a guest judge and stuff like that, and just freaking one of the happiest people, it seemed. He just lit up a room, he lit up a show, just amazing countenance about him, but committed suicide this past week. And I noticed just in social media that when I saw it, I was blown away. But then I started looking at some stories and on Instagram, and just people who were impacted and just re-sharing the story about him and just how surprised they were. And so it's kind of crazy to think how many people he impacted, and maybe he knew, maybe he didn't. But the other thing that I saw that was going around Instagram was this encouragement from everybody to, check in on your friends, see how they're doing, make sure you're checking in and doing all of that with the people who you love, which I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Like, we should, if something like a tragedy like this rekindles relationships and makes some friendships go deeper, that is awesome. And that is absolutely fine. But I think that there's an element to this that we really need to wrestle with just as a larger community. And we really need to, refocus in on, and it really stems from a very simple lesson and a very simple phrase that my grandfather had told me, and the way that he just lived his life. He essentially lived his life with every single person is a human being and deserves respect. And he lived that. And that'll make more sense as it relates to suicide here in just a little bit. But, that lesson that he gave is just huge, because here's how it played out in his life. He would literally start a conversation with anybody. If he went into a store and my grandma was just waiting in the car, go in and do it. She ended up waiting in the car for like a half an hour, just because he would just talk to the cashier and find out the cashier's story. If there was a homeless person on a bench, he would talk to that homeless person and like find out their story and connect with them. And I think at the root of everything, with teen suicides going up, with all of this stuff that's happened and has skyrocketed since COVID, I think that there's an element where isolation is absolutely killing us. Feeling distant from people and the people who are next to us, the people who we are face to face with every single day, to where it gets hopeless really, really quickly. And even if somebody's circumstance is bad, having a circumstance be hopeless is just a completely other thing. And not to say that we shouldn't check in on people, but I can absolutely guarantee you that if you were to make a list of the people who were highest at risk of suicide and you worked down the list, I can guarantee you the people who you would last think would not be okay, there's a good chance that they're not. And I only know this because I myself have wrestled with it. When I was younger, I remember going down the interstate and just like you'd be going under a bridge, and they have like the concrete. It's dividing the two directions of the interstate, and so the middle of the bridge would have a piece that lands in the median that's concrete. And I just remember, being in times of my life where I was like, I wonder, I could just yank it over right now. I could take the steering wheel and I could just yank it over, and everything could just be done. And it's not even like it's so different than being just sad or like mopey or anything like that. It is literally like not having a reason to wake up the next day. But I can guarantee you, usually the people, and tWitch is no different, Robin Williams, no different, the ones who are not okay are usually the people who you would contact last. And I don't know about you, but that makes me feel a little bit hopeless about the situation. Because when something like this happens, you want to be able to have control of it. You want to be able to help somebody who might need help. But I can guarantee you the people who are in that space would not tell you that they're not okay. Because a lot of these actions are thought through. And statistically, this is just true. That if you were to ask somebody if they were okay, they would tell you that they're fine. Because suicide is a solution, not necessarily a problem. And that could make you feel hopeless really fast. And so what do you do? Right? Like what do you do to help somebody when we all have hearts that want to help? And the answer is at least that something to do is to do exactly what my grandfather did. Like, don't take moments or don't take kindness for granted. Because you will be amazed at what a little encouragement can do to somebody who doesn't get encouragement. What does that look like? That means if you're scrolling through Instagram and you see something that one of your friends did, or you think they look great in that denim jacket, or you think their kids are just the cutest, or something made you laugh, maybe you, instead of just laughing and continuing scrolling or double tapping, maybe you comment and let them know, or maybe you text them and tell them that you like them. Maybe you make a point on Facebook to see whose birthday it is that day, and you go through the list of people whose birthday it is, and instead of just doing like the thing that pops in there, you put in something specific. Maybe it's not all of them, but maybe it's a few. Just something to encourage that is genuine. That's genuine, specific, and something just to let that person know that they're seen. Because when something like this happens, and when we check in on our friends, we put this weight on ourselves to somehow to save somebody. And that opportunity is going to come around very rarely. But you know what? Like a well done to a barista, or this is so good, or maybe you go out to dinner and you make a point that if you go out to dinner, you are going to tip really, really well, and let that person know that they did a great job, you have no idea what that could mean to somebody. You have no idea what that encouragement can mean to somebody. It could flip their entire day around just to say, well done. Well done, and it matters that you're here. If you are a leader at work, if you have people who answer you, you have no idea a lot of times what they're going through in their life. And it means the world. Some people work their butts off just to be recognized by their boss. But a lot of times the opportunity passes for the boss to say, you know what, you do a really good job at this. I hope you recognize that it isn't normal how good you are at organization. It isn't normal how you make our customers feel. It isn't normal to have an eye for photography or for this art. Do you realize how special it is what you have? Because the things that are most special about us are the things we often overlook. Because we wake up as us every single day. And so to have somebody call that out and to say, no, like you have this, and I know you wake up with it every day, but I want you to know that it is special, could make the world of difference to somebody. And if we do that, that is the responsibility that is in our hand. I talk a lot about what is in our hand. What is in our hand is noticing the great things that people do around us every single day. And when they know what is great about them, that may give them the boost that they need. And I actually don't know who is even listening to this. And so if somebody's listening to this who might be thinking certain ways about not being here, or just in a really, really bad place where they don't think they could last much longer because of their circumstances, I want to let you know this. This is probably not the first time that you've thought it, and you're still here. That means that the last time that you thought that you couldn't do it, that you couldn't wake up the next day, that you couldn't handle it, you made it. And that means that the thought that you cannot go on is a lie. I don't have to convince you of it because you made it past the last time that you thought that. And so you know, and you've experienced that it's a lie. And so that alone should tell you that you're stronger than you think you are. And that you need people around you who will remind you of that every single day. And I know having people around you who will encourage you is a luxury. I know that you may be in a circumstance where you're like, that would be great. I just need the one person. Well, reach out. My Instagram's iCamargo, ICAMARGO, DM. And if you need somebody to encourage you, I'll encourage you. And I won't BS you. I'm not going to silver lining this thing. If you need somebody to talk to, definitely reach out. But I want you to know as a starting point, the last time you thought you couldn't make it, you did. And so that's a lie that you can't make it. So you need to reevaluate what else you've been lying to yourself about and what you just brush off and let roll down your back when somebody tells you that this is actually amazing what you have. And so what can we do? You know, we can point out just the amazing things. Keep pointing out the amazing things. Find ways to phrase things that happen every single day that will just help somebody just listen to you more. For example, what I've started doing, and this was a couple years ago that I started doing this, instead of saying thank you to somebody who makes my coffee or is waiting on me, I say, I appreciate you. And I make eye contact and I say, I appreciate you. Just even a little changing of words will help somebody get out of the script that they're in and how they think their day is going to go, to listen even just for a second and take in a new message. And because it's a new thing that isn't part of the script, they're more susceptible to receiving it when you look at them sincerely and say something that they weren't expecting. And so that's the episode. Everybody is worth respect. And when we do that, you'll be amazed at the impact that we can make. And so together, I just wanted to let you know I appreciate you. If you wanted more encouraging stories, go back, listen to some old episodes, subscribe, because there's going to be some amazing stuff that happens, okay? Now go out there and do something to make yourself proud this week, okay?